Yesterday I posted up the video that you saw, anybody that was over on TFL Truth, okay, that I posted up on TFL Truth concerning my job and what took place yesterday, and I left the comment and the more that this morning I was going to shut down all of my channels, and I was dead serious when I said it. And a couple hours after I posted that video, Peter called me up on Skype and we were talking, and he advised me not to pull down my channels, and he was right about one thing, that I have a lot of work into them, which is I do, okay? But it wasn't the work that I have into them that was making me want to pull them down. It's because I've tried for so long now to get people to understand what they're doing to one another. Because if you can get people to understand what they're actually doing to one another, you could turn a lot of the domestic violence and the violence in this world around, and it wouldn't be happening. And I get so frustrated with the lies, like what I showed you yesterday. There's no truth in what Amber from PLC said. Why do I make that stuff public? Well, for one, I believe in standing up for yourself. Okay? For two, if you don't take a stand and you turn your back to it and you just allow the stuff to happen, it aggressively gets worse. Okay? And that's exactly what we see going on. I was dead serious when I said I was going to take down my channels, and I meant it. Peter advised me not to. And then I got thinking about something. See, them females from PLC and from the Holiday Inn Express, they stood together on lies. Because it don't matter what you say to me. That's why I threw the challenge at everybody. Show me one video, just one, where I've ever made them kind of statements. I don't condone rape. I don't condone violence. I don't condone what J.T. Lane did. By no means am I approving with his behavior at the end when he went out and killed them, his victims, okay? But he killed the victims that victimized him. I'm not saying it's right. By no means. I point out the behavior because it's the behavior of how we treat one another that leads to the bad things that happen. But a lot of you people, you want to come up with cop-outs and excuses. Cop-outs and excuses. Cop-outs and excuses to go around to not acknowledge. Okay? Cop-outs and excuses and going around and not acknowledging will never cure nothing. You can't fix the problems in society if you're not willing to acknowledge the problems. And when you blame the problems back onto the person, like in TJ Lane's case, you're just furtherly victimizing the person that lost his mind, because he obviously lost his mind. I mean, I can actually understand the smile in the courtroom, but I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it, but I understand the smile because the smile was that of somebody who had been victimized and pushed out and outcasted so bad. Everybody is a little bit different. You know, individuality, we're all different human beings, okay? My message is not that hard to understand unless you take my words out of context, okay? It's simple. It's very simple. You cannot continuously victimize somebody, push them out, outcast them, bully them, ridicule them, call them names, pick on them, day in and day out, and expect good results. Now, when you don't care what you do to somebody else, and then something tragic happens, like what happened with TJ Lane or Columbine High School shooting, George Sedini, and the list goes on and on and on. I understand the people who do it because you've left them no choice. Oh yeah, they did have a choice, right? They did not have to go do that they did, and I agree with that. But once you victimize somebody too much, they lose their mind. Now they're not in their right state of mind because the damage is internal damage that you're doing to them. And then they're not thinking clear, they're not thinking straight. They're thinking out of anger, hurt, hatred. You know, all the emotions and feelings that all of us share when it comes to anger, hurt, stress. And that's what they're thinking out of. And anger, when you're thinking out of anger, it'll lead to bad results because there's no logic sense in anger. Anybody can do something tragic, anybody. When they're pushed and pushed and pushed. Think about an animal that you back up into a corner that has no way out, that comes out fighting. That's sort of what happened there with T.J. Lang. Was an animal that was pushed into a corner and pushed into a corner and pushed into a corner and came out with a gun and killed the people that was pushing him. I don't condone his behavior. But I also don't condone cop-outs to say that, oh, everybody gets bullied, everybody gets this, everybody gets that, and that don't give them permission for their actions. I agree with don't give them permission for their actions. And you just got to man up and deal with it. No. People have to grow up. And people have to recognize that when somebody's being bullied, the people who are doing the bullying are, they're getting their little power trips out of it to feed their ego, to fit in for peer pressure, to feed their ego, to make themselves feel big. And they don't care what they're doing to the person as long as it's feeding into their ego. And when you do that, what you wind up doing is you destroy that person. Now, no, you don't care that you destroy the person because it was about yourself. You only care after that person. You created the mental problem they have. And you only care when they come back and something tragic happens. And then you call them a monster. But who created the monster? They wasn't born a monster. They wasn't born with the problems. You created the problems onto them. Because everybody's a human being, and some people are more sensitive than other people. What I may take one way, you may take a different way. That's a fact of life, and that's part of life. My message has always been clear to try to treat somebody the way you would like to be treated. I'm not saying you have to agree with them. By no means. Okay? But just because you don't agree with somebody don't mean you attack them. Because they have their own right to their own opinions, to how they feel about things, because they're not you. They're their own individual human being. And that's where this all comes from. But I was dead serious about pulling my channels, but Peter advised me not to. But there's actually some really good reason not to pull them. For one, I do got a lot of work into them. For two, I've told people before to leave your videos up if you stop making videos, because if you're trying to help people, you're still reaching other people that you can help. Okay, so them are my own words, so I would be eating my own words if I took them down, wouldn't I? Sure would. And then the other thing is this. What happened at the Holiday Inn Express, what Amber said, what Jody has been told, what Angela's accused me of, these housekeepers that watch my videos. They clearly did not do their legwork. They're investigating my channel as they claim they have. That's a lie. Because if they had investigated my channel, and they had actually really opened their ears and listened hard to what I was saying, they would realize what I was trying to do was to help people. To get people to see how they're treating one another. To get women to realize that it's not to condone a woman being killed by no means, but for the women who chase the bad boys and create drama, and they know they're doing it. And they know full well they're doing it. And that's the same thing as being a bully. It really is. And you can only bully somebody and outcast them and bully them for so long before bad things happen. You know that you wouldn't want to be bullied yourself. To all of you people doing this, you already know full well that you wouldn't want to be bullied yourself, and you can tell yourself that, oh, I would handle it, but it was happening to you every day. And then a bunch of people got with him because of their ego and peer pressure to fit in. Made it popular, made it feel big. It kept doing it to you over and over and over. You would actually be now tasting what you was dishing. And pretty soon, you're a human being. You would become messed up too. And then your thoughts go crazy. Crazy shit goes through your head. No, not everybody will act out on it. I would never act out on my anger and hurt somebody. Even though you people want to accuse me of it, I would never do that. Never. It's not me. So to keep it public with what happened at the Holiday Inn Express needs to be made public. Whether they agree with it should be public or not, it has to be made public for this reason and this reason only. The behavior was wrong. What they done was made up lies out of anger and slandered me. Slander is a crime, by the way. And in doing their slander, they took my way of supporting my child and myself away from me. Doing harm unto me and my child. All over their assumptions. They assumed without knowing. What happened to communication? Wasn't that long ago I did a video on communication. I worked with Jody and Angela for 2 years. These gals saw me every day. Talked to me lots of times in 2 years, didn't they? What happened to communication? When they not understanding something I say in a video, why were they so afraid to ask me what do I mean by this video I did? What the hell am I saying? To strike up that communication, they could have understood where I was coming from. And if I'm wording something wrong, and you point out the wording, now what you've done is you've helped me to reword what I'm saying so that I can get people to understand what I'm doing. But to go out of your way and not say nothing to me, it's like in the interview. Well, what was William talked to? Well, no, there was really no blah, blah. No, there wasn't. Because they never talked to me. Not once. To say that I condone that type of behavior is a lie. To say that I got several videos saying what they said. Okay? So only one video I ever made in my life where I said I smiled at a forensic file show that was on TV. And this has been years ago when I was under a lot of stress myself trying to figure out why that I smiled at a female's body being found in a ditch. But after I'd done that, I also knew inside my own heart, my own head, that was wrong. Wrong. And that I was so wrong for that smile, and I had to figure out within my own self why I had that smile. And I researched and studied and looked to figure out why, and I finally did. And that was wrong, but I would have never acted out on it. The smile came from the hurt that had been laid onto me by others I'd never done nothing to. That's right. That's where it came from. It don't justify it, but I would never act out on it. Okay? There is no justification, but it comes down to understanding that if a guy's out there and he's constantly being rejected, that comes back to the social conditioning machine that caused that. Your TV, your books, your magazines, peer pressure, pornography, fashion, and the list goes on, okay? That causes it because it's just the way it is, okay? TFL was never about a group of people who couldn't get laid. TFL was about a name of a real problem that's going on in society that millions and millions of men are living, and even some women. And yes, it is even some women, regardless of what Steve Hoker would tell you. It is some women. I met a woman who was living it. I talked to her a lot on the phone. I heard her feelings and I heard her emotions, and she was definitely living it. There was not a doubt in my mind she was living it. Okay? It's a problem that's being pushed onto people. And what we have to do is we have to start looking at each other as human beings. We have to realize our wrongs, and you have to realize that it is not right to look at somebody in 1 to 5 seconds and already label them and judge them. Okay? You can do it all you want, but it does not make it right. Cop-outs like, well, it's because they're low on self-esteem. They don't love themselves. Self-esteem, well, if you climbed up a ladder and you got halfway up the ladder and I pushed you off that ladder, you fall down, you get back up and everybody's yelling at you. Get back up, man up. Okay? So you climb back up the ladder, get halfway up the ladder, and I push you off again. And then you get back up and you climb up the ladder, get halfway up and I push you off the ladder again. And I keep doing that to you over and over and over and over and over again. How long will it be before you're too weak to get back up and go up that ladder again? What would happen to your self-esteem about climbing up that ladder? You need to really think about that, because that's what you're doing to people when you push them out, when you outcast them, when you bully them. See, technically, Jody and Angela are no better than TJ Lane. No, they're not. In reality, they're actually no better than TJ Lane. Matter of fact, they're doing the exact same thing that TJ Lane did without killing somebody. Yeah, they are. You can say, well, how is that? It's simple. Okay, it's very simple. They watched a video that I made, and I didn't tell them where my YouTube channel was, what my name was on YouTube or anything. How they found it, I don't know, but that's all right. I don't care how they found it. They found it. It's public forum, right? So, they got pissed off. That's something I said. Didn't understand what I was talking about. They thought they did, but they didn't. Okay? They acted out of anger. While they're acting out of anger and emotions, what did they do? They attacked me. They attacked my child. They took my income away from me. Left my child without his dad having an income to support him. That's right. That's what they done. They attacked. What did TJ Lane did when he was pushed and ridiculed, pushed over the edge? He lost his mind and he acted out of anger. Why did he smile in the courtroom? I understand his smile in the courtroom, but it don't make it right. He smiled in the courtroom because he knows that it was their children that actually was the ones that were really bullying the hell out of him, outcasting him. He acted out of anger and he killed him. Wrong behavior, totally wrong. And I totally agree with you that when you say, and I totally agree that there's no justification of what he did. You can't justify what he did, but you also can't justify the behavior that them kids were doing to him either. You can't turn your back to that. You can turn your back. But as long as you continue to turn your back, then the problem escalates and escalates. What happened to support? The guy climbing up the ladder and kept pushing off again and pushed off again. Why didn't somebody come along and support him? Why didn't somebody care? Because people have lost their ability to care. What happened to communication? Jody and Angela worked with me for 2 years. Talked to me every day. They seen a video they didn't understand. It's like Amber said when she was asked by the state of Iowa, the unemployment, that they investigated my channel. She lied to them and said, yes, they did. Okay, she even went as far as saying I have several videos up saying the lies she was spilling. Okay. So, if I was to pull my channels down, then they can say he took his channels down because he knew he said what we said he said. Now do you see why I can't take my channels down? No. I've got to leave it there. Why? Because I never said what they're saying. That's why I issued the challenge yesterday. One video is all you got to show me. one video where I made them statements. Because I never have. Never. Okay? Never. I don't condone it. I try to point out the problems. So yes, Jody and Angela did act like TJ Lane. They acted out of emotions and feelings without asking. If they had come to me and asked me, what did I mean by this? Why did I say that? They would have gotten a whole lot further. Why? Because then they could have found out what I was thinking, what was going through my head, instead of assuming. But they would rather assume and make stuff up that's not true. They would rather act like TJ Lane and attack. So now what? Angela and Jody are monsters, ain't they? They're villains, they're monsters, they're evil. Well, ain't that what you call him, TJ Lane? He's a monster, he's evil. Who created the monster? Think about it. See, so Jody and Angela are no better than TJ Lane. Because they did the exact same thing in a way that TJ Lane did. They attacked somebody who'd done nothing to them. They caused harm onto that person, which, by the way, slander is a crime. And when you cause harm and injury onto somebody through slander, which is a crime, it's a suable offense. Yes. So will I take my videos down now? No. Because I need to leave them up so that they can't use a lie to hide behind their lies with. That's right. Otherwise, they'll be using a lie to hide behind their lies. Can't give them that. Nope, sorry. Can't have it. Okay? Because they were wrong. In reality, what they owe is they owe me an apology and my job back. That's what they owe me. Is an apology and my job back. Would they do that? No. I'll tell you why they won't do that. Because there's not many people in this world that will, wow, I made a mistake. Dang, I harmed him in doing what I did. And realize that they made a mistake and become an adult and apologize for their mistake and correct their wrong. There's not many people who do that. Because we ain't got people who care anymore in this world because it's about themselves. It's like when I walked into the housekeeping in the morning that they fired me before the owner got there. Angela was sitting at her desk, had a big old smile, shit-eating grin on her face, and said, "Hi, Bill," with a big old smile. And I know what was going through her head. She knew that the owner was showing up and I was being terminated. Okay? But why did they do that? Because see, for her, it was an ego trip. That's right, an ego trip. She was feeling big in her ego. Okay, rather than being an adult. So, no, the videos will not come down because I need to leave them up. Okay, I need to leave them up for that reason and that reason only. And for the fact that I have tried to help people for so long. If you can understand, just try to understand what I'm telling you. You cannot use cop-outs. Oh, well, in the dating scene. Well, they ain't got no game. Game is nothing more than manipulation and lying to another human being and playing with somebody's emotions and feelings. That's all game is. So to hurt another human being's emotions and feelings and then complain about the results of it's the same thing as bullying. It's the exact same thing as bullying. And bullying, to try to justify it and say, well, everybody goes through it and blah, 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 and you just got to learn to deal with it. No. You got to learn how to grow up and address the issue. You got to learn how to teach children that when they bully, that's wrong. To corral the behavior when it's young so that it don't go on to become an adult bully. It's that plain and simple. What Jody and Angela did is a crime. It's called slander. They cannot back or prove any of the accusations they've made. They can go through all of my videos if they want, and they will not find it. The most they could find is the one I told you about years ago. And this phone just don't quit ringing. Okay, but that's all right. So, with that being said, I'm not going to take down my channels. Okay, I'm going to leave the videos up. I was very angry, and I seriously would have taken him down, but after talking with Peter, he is right. And I'm not going to give Jody and Angela a lie to hide behind, because I would be helping them then. Because then they can make up another lie and say I took my videos down or my channels down because they were telling the truth, when they're not. And they know they're not. Why is it going to be public? Because it needs to be public, because they need to be taught a lesson. They should have investigated. They should have came to me and communicated with me, and they would have understood. They would at least known where I was coming from. But rather than communicate, you would rather assume. And then you want to act out of your anger and act like TJ Lane and act out of your anger. The only difference is they didn't kill me, but they did harm unto me. Yeah. TJ Lane killed people who victimized him. Okay? He was wrong for doing so. Totally wrong. He was wrong for smiling in the courtroom with Killer Road on his shirt. That came from his mental state. His mental state came from outcast, bullying, ridiculing, because you can only do that to somebody for so long before they lose it. I've tried to tell people that for so long, but you people don't want to listen. And you know full well that I'm right. This is why I said the epic failure of mankind was to grow the hell up. So my videos are going to stay up, because I'm not going to give Angela and Jody any more lies to hide behind. Okay? The accusations are lies. Their so-called investigation was the cheapest investigation you've ever witnessed in your life. And they can't back what they're saying, where I can back what I'm saying. That's the difference between them and me. And the difference between me and them is if I make a mistake that would do harm unto them, I would not only be adult enough to apologize, I would fix the harm that I'd done. But I'm sure they're not adult enough to do that. I really am. It's sad. So no, I'm not going to take my videos down. I'm going to leave them up. And I'm going to leave them up. And I hope you people understand what I'm telling you. Because this world does not have to be this way. You people really need to use this when you're listening to what I'm saying. And if I'm wording something wrong, you need to have the fortitude to come forward and send me a PM and say, try this, or word it this way, or word it that way, and try to help, to spread the message, to get people to see what's being said, rather than attack.